Question number 3, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker, this question is to the Minister of Transport and asks, is he satisfied that the New Zealand Transport Agency funding in Northland is adequate to cover the cost for the Brynderwyn Hills road improvements?
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Craig Foss.
On behalf of the Minister of Transport, yes, I am satisfied that the New Zealand Transport Agency has sufficient funding to complete the safety upgrade of the Brynderwyn Hills road improvements, and they are well on track for completion in the summer of 2017. The project was originally funded at $16.9 million, but due to geotechnical issues, the cost now is $18.9 million. But I'm sure the member will welcome this additional investment by the National-led government in Northland.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Is it not a fact that month on month the cost of this project has blown out? And what has he or the NZTA done about it?
The Honourable Craig Foss.
On behalf of the Minister, Mr Speaker, no, it's not a fact, Mr Speaker, but I'm sure the good people of Northland will be interested that the current member is not wanting or welcoming additional spend in his electorate.
Order.
Point of order.
Point of order, the Right
Mr Speaker, the Minister has not stuck to the question that I asked him. He's turned it into a personal attack, and it's a very unfortunate approach he's taken.
Order. The last part of the answer by the Minister was certainly not helpful to the order of the House. The first part did adequately address the question. The member can continue with subs if he wishes.
Minister,
supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
If he has just admitted that the costs have blown out by $2 million already, by how much each month has it been blowing out, and why does he think that $18 million is the total cost now?
Mr Speaker,
Honourable Craig Foss.
On behalf of the Minister of Transport, we are committed to delivering this project on time. Yes, there's additional spend required to build it to the right standard. Geotechnical issues that weren't apparent when first planned and designed have become apparent. So, Mr Speaker, there is no month-on-month additional spend. New information has created additional spend required for additional investment into Northland.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
If the NZTA is working, in their words, quotes, to create transport solutions for all New Zealanders, why can it not keep contracts within the expenditures originally announced, such as in the Brynderwyn Hills, where every month it's blown out?
Oh, Mr Speaker.
Honourable Craig Foss.
On behalf of the Minister, Mr Speaker, I take it from that member would prefer the road to be built on substandard material, not durable or lasting for many, many years. Mr Speaker, geotechnical issues have required an additional spend in the project. I would have thought a good local member would have welcomed that.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Is it not a fact that every $1 million overspent on this project and outside of the contract is $1 million that cannot be spent elsewhere on desperately needed roads and two-lane bridges in Northland?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Craig Foss.
Well, on behalf of the Minister, Mr Speaker, I'm sure again that member may portray to the good people of Northland that he would prefer that a substandard road was built to allow spending somewhere else.
Order.
Speaker, with the greatest respect, I don't think that Minister
order.
is sticking
with
to
the greatest
subject.
of respect, I'm going to invite the member to repeat the question.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. That will be most helpful.
Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Minister, is it not a fact that every $1 million overspent on this project is $1 million that cannot be spent elsewhere on desperately needed roads and two-lane bridge projects in Northland?
The Honourable Craig Foss.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, of course this won't stop other investment. Actually, a member may be interested to know there's around $2 billion of funding for planning of roading investment into Northland.
Question number 4.